Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Notary Academy channel. I'm Kimberly Sennett, and today we're featuring another incredible story from one of our students. At Notary Academy, we're all about real stories, real journeys, and real results. Our guest today has taken the leap into the notary world, and we're going to hear all about her path, her challenges, and her wins that she has experienced with the help of Notary Academy. So please help me welcome Miss Laura Vandenberg. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
So I first of all would like to just start with telling everybody how long you've been a notary for, what was your background before you became a notary, and where do you live?
Okay. I've been a notary for 5 years. Prior to being a notary, I was a stay at home mom. Prior to being a stay at home mom, I was a software salesperson down in Silicon Valley. We moved up here to Nevada City, California, which is in between Tahoe and Sacramento, 20 years ago.
Oh, wow.
And when we were doing a refinance during COVID, we met a very nice notary that started talking to us about how she was making money and could work whatever hours she wanted and support her kids and their sports while making money. And that really appealed to me. So that's how I decided to become a notary.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I love that. I didn't know that you had been a stay-at-home mom, and I don't know if you know my background, but that's where I came from as well, was a stay-at-home mom with the kids. I did, work outside of the home before kids, but um I love that because that's the exact same thing as I had a store manager that told me about being a notary, and then I remembered, oh yeah, I remember that guy that came to the house and sold us, did the paperwork, and I'm like, I could probably do that. So, um, that's pretty cool that that's how you got started as well. I love that.
Yeah, that's funny that we have the same thing. And it worked out great because I was able, when my boys were littler, to do all their sporting events while taking signings. Now that I'm almost an empty nester, I am a full time notary, which is great. It's been quite busy and very fun.
Do you wish that you would have known about being a notary before you became, like way prior, like when your kids were even younger?
Yes.
Yeah, same. I'm like, wow, I wish I would have known about it years and years ago, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so what has been the most rewarding part of being a notary so far?
Ooh, that's a good one. Probably the most rewarding is really connecting with people and helping them go through what's a pretty stressful process, whether they're selling or buying, and helping making it fun and relaxing for them. That's really what I strive to do. And then it's fun to see people's houses and how they decorate. Some of the houses haven't been so great, but most of them are, you get all kinds of people and all kinds of ideas. But really, it's the connecting with people.
I love that too, and just being able to help others. So, how long did you say you've been a notary for?
5 years.
5 years. Okay, and where did you start out first? Like when you started getting your notary education, did you go through National Notary Association or did you go through a different program?
So I did all my NNA training through the NNA, the National Notary, and then I got my LSA training through Mark Will's loan signing service training program, which was fine. It was great. I prefer Notary Academy because it's more about doing the job right and less about how much money you can make. Um, to be quite honest. Still, both are great resources, though.
Yep, I agree. Because as you know, I've done both as well. I had started out as being the first ambassador of loan signing system. It was a great program for marketing and learning how to, make money in this business. But your skills, your laws, your foundation, super important as well, right? So I'm glad that you have navigated to Notary Academy. Like I always say, it doesn't matter where you get your training as long as you're getting good quality training. And I really believe that getting training from multiple sources makes you a better, well-rounded notary. Do you agree?
I do. I totally agree. I do have to say, because I do the LSA training now through the NNA and then also through Notary Academy. I prefer Notary Academy because they're usually more concise with the forms right in front of you, where like with the loan signing system, it was all talking. There wasn't a ton of forms. And with the NNA, they're kind of a little long. But that's just my assessment of the. They're all good programs.
Sure.
That's just if I'm running tight on time, and I need to do something on 593 or something, I will hit up Notary Academy first.
Okay. Yeah. And that's something that, for those of you that are listening that are not Notary Academy students, what Laura is talking about is we do offer training where they're short videos. They can be anywhere between five, and some of them are longer, 30 minutes, but a lot of them are just 5 to 10 minute videos that are short, sweet, simple, give you the information that you need, and you can listen to them in your car on your way to the signing if you need to, or just have a quick refresher. That's what you're talking about, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So I do think that those are all very, very helpful, and so many scenarios that we run into at the last minute that you're like, oh, I need a refresher. I don't remember how to do signature by mark or something that isn't something you do on a regular basis. So let me ask you, do you do all loan signings? Do you do general notary work, or do you diversify? What is the most work that, your primary source of notary work that you do?
My primary source of notary work is doing buyer and seller signings and refinance signings. I do work for several attorneys in town, and then I also do general notary work, and I would rate them in that order.
Nice. Okay, so tell me, what kind of challenges did you face when you very first started?
Oh boy, so many. The the biggest challenge where I live is very rural. So if you need a question asked, oftentimes you have no cell phone coverage to be able to build a signing
Oh,
service. So I learned to really prep the documents ahead of time and ask anything I was unclear of before I left my home office. Um, the yeah, so that was really learning how to be prepped the right way, was the most important lesson I learned.
okay, something that you said that is huge is where you live. You live in a rural area, right? So, what has that challenge been like? Because I hear a lot of people online, not in California sometimes, other in other areas, and they're like, "Oh, I can't do this because I live in a rural area. There's no business." Is that
Oh, that's not true. You just have to really learn how to manage the signings because I just got an offer for a loan signing refinance for $85, but it's 23 minutes away. So that's an hour back there and back, and then probably an hour with the client, right? So is that worth my time? Well, it depends on the day. Today I'm booked up pretty solid, so it's not, but on another day it might be. So being able to check how far away something is has been super tricky, especially with some of the platforms that don't handle that very elegantly. Um, but like I gladly go up to Truckee, which is an hour's drive away from here, but I'm going to charge, over $100 to do that
right? Right.
because it's a 3 hour event.
So, would it be fair to say that somebody that lives in an area like yours would be able to fetch a little bit more money as long as you communicate well and you let people know what your situation is? Would you say
Oh,
that's
absolutely. Yeah. And what I'll put in, just so I don't look like a jerk to the signing service, is I'll say, you absolutely can do this job. However, it's an hour and 10 minutes away from my home office. So I would appreciate it if it could be $130, for example. Um, and then I also make sure and let them know that I would be dropping the docs in Truckee for them, which is yet another little bit of a drive. But that'll make sure I hit the deadline rather than driving it all the way back to Grass Valley. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And I have to tell you, as you're saying it, the signing service owner inside of me is just screaming, yes, yes, I'm so happy. And the reason why is because that's what we need is our platforms. They literally show us that you're 8 miles from a signing. And so we offer you a certain amount. And a lot of notaries, they get very frustrated and upset with us and start getting mad because why are you offering me $80 when this is, 25 miles from me? But the difference is that the software programs, they do it as the crow flies. So we have a general idea how close you are to that signing, but not always. I myself get signings for, I live in Southern California, so I get signings for Lake Arrowhead and it says it's 9 miles from me. It's a 45-minute drive. It's not 9 miles. And
Yeah.
so, the other signing services that are out of state, they're not understanding why somebody's not accepting a 75 or an $80 signing, thinking that it's, closer by. So your communication and your skills by telling them that is just beautiful. And a lot, it sounds like so simple. Like everybody's like, what's the big deal? Kimberly, you're literally just telling somebody to communicate, but something as big as that does wonders. It does wonders for the schedulers, the signing service, everything, because then we know exactly where you're located and what would be an appropriate fee to offer you. So
Yeah.
for you.
Well, and it's just hard because here, like you were saying, it'll say 8 miles, but because it's so twisty turny to get there, and sometimes you're going off road, which is tricky all by itself, where it's not a paved road. And if I know that in advance, I might ask for a little bit extra of a fee because it makes it that much more tricky. Um, but
Absolutely. I mean, you absolutely should in circumstances like that where your rule, you're traveling hours plus because there's no other notaries in the area or there's very few, you have limited choice. And so does the signing service, so does direct escrow, right? We all have limited choice. So yes, telling them I'm going to need $200. I'm going to need like a direct fee, that helps everybody because then we are able to go back to our clients and say, this is what's going on. It's a windy road. They have to go off road. It's going to take this long. All those sorts of things. It helps us go and get an increase from escrow and title in order to be able to compensate the notary appropriately. So good on you. I'm so proud of you for being able to understand that communication because there's so many people in your shoes, Laura, that don't communicate and then they just get out of the business. They just decide that it's not worth it to them because they're not being paid enough instead of actually letting people know where they live and what the situation really is. So I think that's
yeah.
fantastic.
Well, thank you. Great.
Okay, so I would like to know if you remember your very first signing and did you have any challenges when you went through it?
Oh my goodness. Yes. My first signing was baptism by fire. It was up in Tahoe City, which is an hour and a half away. Um, and the signing service that I picked, or that picked me, had encrypted some of the documents so that I couldn't get into them. And I didn't know that. I thought, well, I can't get into them. They're probably for somebody else.
Oh,
And so I printed out the two unencrypted documents, showed up to the signing. And fortunately, it was a husband and wife that were an older couple that had done lots and lots of transactions, knew that I was missing some key parts. So then they were staying in a very nice area that had a front desk piece. Sorry, that's my cat. that we literally on a tiny little HP printer, we had to print out the deed of trust and the note and several other things that now I would know if that those weren't included, that I couldn't move forward. So it what should have taken me an hour signing ended up taking probably 2 hours, and then I still had to go back because I missed some initials. So it was definitely a rough way to start, but the couple was so nice and so kind, and it made it so it was worth it.
That's awesome. I think that we all have our first signings all tend to be a little bit of a nightmare for us. My first signing was 3 hours long, 36 notarizations. And I think
Wow.
I spent like 3 hours, 4 hours prepping. And then I didn't have a scanner and it was like a 200-page package. And I used my phone and scanned each page one at a time. And that took another like 3 hours. Yeah.
Oh my
I think
gosh.
I got paid like $75. Oh, and I did the same thing. I drove like an hour and a half away and I got paid like $75, yet the whole thing took me like 10 hours.
Yeah. Yeah. That's part of the education process.
Yes, for sure. And we've all been there, right? But it's something that you just kind of have to go through before, the repetition, I say, is your friend in this business, right?
Yeah.
So, how did the training help you feel more confident? How has Notary Academy training, has it made you feel more confident since I know you said you took other training? Were you confident when you took Notary Academy, or have we helped you become more confident?
Well, there's a couple different things that Notary Academy provides that gives me confidence. And probably the number one is the lifeline support. So I know that if I get to the table, even after prepping and being careful, because usually it takes me 20 minutes to prep everything, and I get to the table and the client, asks me a question or something that I get stopped, I know that I've got that lifeline support. So I feel much more confident going, well, if I get stuck, I can always, text Notary Academy and get an answer straight away. The training itself is really, really good from the fact that it fits my personal value system better, in that it goes through what you can and can't do as a notary, how the different paperwork is actually used, going through the mock. I've rewatched the mock signings. I don't even know how many times, because those give me a lot of confidence and help, because once you start to stutter in front of a client is when they get nervous, and then the signing gets a lot harder. Whereas if you know your docs and you know what they're, a quick one liner like what you give us on the training, um, that allows me to keep the motion flowing. Does that
Right.
make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And
So
y-
yeah, so I think that the Notary Academy training is great from that standpoint, versus the other ones where there's one in particular where they talk a lot about how much money you can make, and I would lose interest and miss the key point of a document because my value system is, if you do the job well and you do it right, the money will follow, rather than doing it for the money. And so Notary Academy aligns better with me and my value system, because you teach us how to do it right, and do it well, and then the money can follow.
yeah, I agree with that 100%. And I do have to say, for anybody that is in this business for the money, I don't think a lot of people see the bigger picture. And I will say this is that being a six-figure notary, making that kind of money, what that entails is truly driving 200 to 500 miles a day, working 5 to 7 days a week, and working 12 plus hours a day. I've been there, I've done it. That's what it takes. I know many people that continue to do it, and yeah, it can be done. You just have to be willing to work an ungodly amount of hours and be able to just, eat, breathe, sleep loan signing and not spend a lot of time with work life or balance. So that's kind of where that comes into play, is that how you make that kind of money. But would you not agree with me, if because I don't like to talk about the money a lot, but I agree with you 100%. You do a great job, you do the right job, the money will follow. As a full-time notary yourself, if we're going to talk about money for a second, you don't need to tell me what you make. I just want to know, are you making enough to live comfortably? Do you make enough that you could take care of yourself and your bills?
Uh, that's a tough one. Yeah, probably I could. Part of being in the business for a little while and doing the job right and well is I do get quite a bit of direct business, which is more where you make more money. You know, and so I would probably have to work a little bit harder to be fully sustainable on my own. But I'm sure making enough to go on some nice trips.
Love it. I love that. And that's the thing, is you would agree that in this business you have to be a self-motivator, self-starter, you have to be determined. You're running your own business, right? And so it truly is on your shoulders how much you work, how hard you work, all those sorts of things. But the reason that I even outline this is I want people to hear you are in an area that is not filled with a vast amount of business, and you are still making money, you are still thriving, you're still doing this. And so I really want people to hear that if they're in the same kind of situation where they're in an area that, there's not a McDonald's and a US bank on every single corner, that it still can be done, and it can still be done in a way that you just said, you go on some pretty nice vacations, you have enough money to do extra things with it, right?
Absolutely, yeah. No, and honestly, the last probably 4 or 5 months, I've been making over 1,000 a week, which is good money given that that's probably 3 or 4 signings a day, which is very manageable. To your point of making 100,000 or more, um, you're doing probably closer to 10 signings a day. And once I get past 5, I sort of start to slip a little bit.
Yeah.
And everybody has different thresholds.
I agree with that 100% too. And yeah, I agree. Once you get past 5, it's like, wow, it's a lot for one person to have to handle, and to do it every single day, day in, day out. It's a lot
Yeah.
of work. That's for sure. Okay, so let me know, do you feel more prepared for real world notary challenges because of Notary Academy?
Of course I do.
Okay. And do you feel like we've taught you more about diversification and running other notary business besides just loan signing, right?
Yes.
Awesome. Um, how has being a notary and training through Notary Academy changed your career or your lifestyle?
Um, I would say that's probably why I'm getting more direct business, because I've sat and watched through some of the harder forms to fill out, and because I don't have to ask, especially when I'm in the office with the escrow officers, I don't have to ask them as many questions, which creates more value, because the reason they're hiring me is because they're busy with other things. They don't want me to be bugging them with stuff. So if I sit down and watch, and the way you guys have everything organized is super helpful too, because I can look up a certification of trust. You have that specific thing where I can go through that document and see how it should be filled out rather than having to ask the escrow officers. Does that make sense?
It absolutely does. And you hit that on the head, is that's exactly why an escrow officer would hire you directly, is they're anticipating that you're professional, knowledgeable, and you know how to do your job. And so it's fine to ask an escrow officer a question, but if you have to get up every couple minutes and keep asking them and interrupting them, exactly what you said. They hired you for a reason and it wasn't to come and bother them, right?
Yeah. It's so that they can get the other 15 deals they've got cooking
Yeah,
closed.
yeah, exactly. Okay, Laura, tell me one success story that you are most proud of since joining Notary Academy.
Oh boy. Probably I have to go with recent because I don't always remember the past as well. Where there was a lady who had come in, had been very difficult for the escrow officer to work with, had a lot of different demands. Her family was in the real estate business, so she felt pretty knowledgeable and entitled. And I was able to not only get her relaxed and comfortable, but the signing in much shorter amount of time than anybody thought I could do it. And then she was super complimentary and much kinder to the escrow officer once we were all done. And I just did it through, relating to her and making a few jokes. Um, about like it was she was purchasing a product, and they always put the authorization and certification to borrow the money almost at the bottom of the stack. And so I said, and now after you've signed all these other papers, we get to the bottom of the stack, and now you're going to authorize and certify that you want to borrow the money. And she just laughed and thought that was so funny. So that was my probably my best win as of recent.
Nice. I love that. And it just feels good, right? It just feels good to not only help somebody, but when you can turn a negative situation or a negative Nancy into, your
Yes.
pal, it's the best feeling. And it looks good on you. All the escrow officers are like, "Hey, what the heck did she say to make her turn her attitude around?" Right?
Yeah.
Makes you look great. Okay, so what kind of advice would you give to someone who is thinking about becoming a notary?
Well, obviously, join Notary Academy to get all the good training.
You.
Uh, but seriously, make sure you always that if you take a signing, especially when you're new, make sure you have plenty of time to sit down with the paperwork and really go through it, and then have a resource like Notary Academy or NNA training that you can go through to answer any questions that you have before you get out there in front of the client. Um, and when you prep the documents ahead of time, that all by itself relaxes the client. So obviously you can, put things together that they don't need to sign, or like preliminary reports if they're only signing the document, put a paper clip on it. Those are the kinds of things that show that you care and that you went the extra mile. Um, but being prepared and making it regular that you do your training, I think is key.
I agree with you. I think that the minute that you're not prepared, it will dishevel your entire day. It feels like you're trying to catch up because you didn't prep your docs. I can easily go into a signing without my docs prepped and I can do the loan signing, but it is going to take a little bit longer because I haven't prepped anything. I've been doing it long enough that that can happen, but I agree with you 100%. Prepping your stuff and doing it all the time, making sure that you're ready for that appointment, it does. It makes you look very polished and professional and ready to go. So, great tips for sure. Thank you. Um, if you could go back and talk to yourself before you started your journey, what would you tell yourself?
Relax. You've got this. And uh, if you don't know, it's okay.
Yeah, I love that. That's great. Okay, so how do you see your notary career going in the next few years?
I hope to see it continue to grow. I hope to continue to work a good mix of direct and signing services. And I would like to consistently do 5 signings a day, so I can keep going on good trips.
And keep growing. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, so um, is there anything else that you want the notary community to know? Anything about you or any kind of experience that you've had that you want people to know?
Um, Going to, so the one thing I didn't mention, but I found it very valuable is going to different events. Like I went to one for Notary Academy that was really good. Being there with other fellow notaries gives you a new confidence and camaraderie, because it is kind of a lonely job. By law, you can't really have another notary in there with you. So, going to different events, I think, is a good investment. Um, so that's the only other thing I would add.
And then one other thing, you were telling me earlier that you use Notary Academy almost like I would say kind of a marketing tool, right? To with the people that you work with. Tell me a
Correct.
bit about that.
Yeah. So what I'll tell people is that I pay for a monthly service that's absolutely invaluable. It's where I get my training and I have lifeline support. And so if I come across anything that I can't handle, I have a very nice safety net that I like to use. And that makes, and everybody, oh, that sounds great. Like I've just worked with a new notary, and she should be coming on board anytime now because she knows she needs that safety net that you provide.
That's awesome. Okay, for those of you that are watching and you're like, what is Lifeline? What are they talking about? Let me explain really quickly. Lifeline is a service that Notary Academy offers where if you are at the signing table and you need help immediately, you can call or text us. Please understand that we do teach our notaries that they are not to give any non-public personal information out. They do not give us the names of signers. They do not give us the names of who they are working with or the transactions. It is simply a way to ask a question if they're having problems identifying somebody, asking notarial based questions, etc. So, for any of you that are not familiar with our services, I just want you all to know that we're not breaking laws. We are not sharing borrowers' information with each other. We are simply giving information for notarial foundation based questions, but it is something that is just honestly priceless. I feel like most notaries gain so much confidence with it, having us in their back pocket, able to text us or call us. It just kind of gives you that relief that you know you have somebody there to help you. And so I think that it is an invaluable service. And we try our hardest to be available whenever, 24/7, right? So what has been your experience, Laura, with that? Like when you try to reach out to us, can you reach us pretty quickly? Do you have any issues?
I actually have never had a case where I reached out and didn't get an immediate response. Like immediate is like within 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Um, and oftentimes it is immediate. It's just, yeah. So that has been fabulous, and knowing that it comes straight across, especially with out of state documents, and I'll take a picture and send it and say, what do I do with this? And almost immediately I get a response.
So, and that's the thing is that, and it could be 9 o'clock at night, it could be 10 o'clock at night, and we'll still respond, right?
Yep.
And it's a real person, it's not AI.
Yeah. Thank goodness, because AI is wrong so often.
Okay, so one last thing. Thank you again so much for being here. Thank you so much for sharing your time with us today. I have one last question. If someone is watching this and wondering if Notary Academy is right for them, what's your message?
Absolutely. If you're going to be a notary, you should have Notary Academy. It's a wonderful, wonderful service. In my opinion, it's not it's worth every penny. Um, and you'll be a better notary because of it.
Oh, thank you so much for saying
Yeah, you work very hard, and you and your team do a great job. So you should be very proud of yourself.
thank you. I really appreciate that. So, again, thank you so much for sharing your story with us today. Your journey is truly inspiring, and I really know that it's going to help motivate so many others who are thinking about becoming notaries or possibly joining Notary Academy. So, if you are watching this and if you're wondering if a notary career could be right for you, or if you're looking for training that actually prepares you for real world success, Notary Academy is here for you. Laura, again, you have been such a gem. I realize that you and I actually have a lot more in common than I realized. So I love spending this time with you and learning more about you and your journey. I'm so grateful for you being a Notary Academy student, and we're always here to support you. Thanks for doing
All
this.
right. Well, thank you. Thank you for saving me so many times. I appreciate it and I appreciate you.
Aw, my pleasure.